Joining me now is Kevin Francis. He is the VP of Exploration for U.S. Gold. Nice to see you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Now, we've talked to your CEO, George B., before, so it'll be interesting to talk to you and get your perspective on the projects, or the main project, the flagship CK in Wyoming, which the company calls Shovel Ready. So can you give us an overview and update us from the last time we spoke to the company?
Absolutely. So CK Gold Project is located in southeast Wyoming, just 16 miles west of the capital of the state, Cheyenne, Wyoming. And since last year, we've submitted the mine operating permit in September and have been advancing that through the Department of Environmental Quality. Just a reminder that we're on private and state-owned land, so there's no federal nexus to the project. So the permitting process is entirely through the state of Wyoming. So we've been dealing with those agencies exclusively and have a wonderful collaborative arrangement with them. They've been very helpful. We've also submitted the industrial siting permit. Our hearing, very timely, is today, and that's for any project that's of substantial industrial. It's based on capital cost estimate, but a large capital investment in Wyoming requires an industrial siting permit. Also, we're preparing our air permit submission, and we've had no stumbling blocks so far. The agencies have been very open to assisting us.
And I remember George saying that just dealing directly with Wyoming is a big benefit. So you're planning a feasibility study released at sometime in Q3 of 23, and the company's also said that the world has changed since then. So some costs will be a little higher, some will be lower, from energy to supply chain and other factors as well, correct?
Yeah, we are far enough along. All the engineering is largely complete. The process design, everything is done. What we're doing now, we're updating costs. We're sending out bid packages for major capital equipment, the mill, etc. We haven't seen those prices come back yet, but as you mentioned, for all the various reasons of supply chain and major materials, steel particularly, we aren't exactly sure where those prices are going to come back. The one thing that we did cement, though, since we're on state land and a state trust land, the benefit, the royalty that goes to the state benefits the K through 12 educational process, and the land board agreed to fix our royalty at 2.1%. So we do have royalty assurance throughout the mining operation. So that's one question mark that we had in regard to the feasibility study that's now fixed. So we are looking at higher metal prices than we anticipated earlier. The PFS was done at $1,625 gold and $325 copper. And as it stands right now, we're still looking at that. But if you look at three-year trailing is 1824. If you look at some of the forward curves from the major financial houses, that's 1775. So we haven't really settled on a price yet. We're taking a look at various alternatives, but we anticipate having higher metal prices than we did for the PFS, which will help offset some of the perhaps pressures of increased capital costs.
Right, and naturally you're going to be conservative with your estimates, but as we sit here now, we know that gold is looking pretty comfortable around $2,000, and maybe we'll break through its all-time high at some point, which is, I think, closing high was, I think, 2069, something like that. So I know that the company wants to be in construction sometime in 24, production 25. You touched on the permitting, so maybe just kind of take us through that.
Sure. So we still anticipate our permit, the mine operating permit, which is the major license that permits us to mine on the state land, in the early part of next year, Q1, Q2. It's hard to say. You listen to the Land Quality Division, who actually is responsible for the preparation of that permit. They're perhaps more favorable about an early conclusion than we're just trying to take the most pragmatic tack, and perhaps a Q1, Q2 of next year. That permit is, all the other permits will be keyed off of that one. The air permit That has a shorter timeline, but we don't anticipate that'll be granted contingent upon the mine operating permit. The industrial siting permit will also be contingent on receipt of the mine operating permit. So all of them should be timed simultaneously in the early part of next year. As it stands right now, we're looking at financing the project, and in order to meet a timeline of anticipated board approval decision to construct the mine, to have a financing package in place to actually start that construction when the snow is gone next year in Wyoming.
Very good. And that the CapEx estimated initially at $220 million, correct?
That's right.
And lastly, U.S. Gold does have other assets, so let's touch on those. Kevin, so Keystone in Nevada, you've got Idaho project as well.
Yep. Keystone, 20 square miles, 10 miles south of the Cortez complex. Total mined and in reserve at Cortez of 51 million ounces. So it's quite an endowment just 10 miles north. And we've got the same host rocks, the Wenban and the Comus formations that were dominantly mineralized in the Cortez trend. We also have intrusives very similar to that. What we really need is some help. 20 square miles, it's a bit too much for us to bite. We're a very small company, and we've reached out and have spoken to many companies in regard to perhaps taking a leadership role on the exploration on the project. The Chalice project is located just outside of Salmon, Idaho, high-grade narrow gold, and honestly, we are looking at filing a plan of operations with the Forest Service this year that will allow us to drill 42 holes from 14 different sites. So, watch Chalice. As soon as we get that plan of operations, we'll be quite active up there.
All right, lots on the go. Thanks for the update.
No, of course, pleasure.
Thanks, Kevin. Okay, Kevin Francis, VP of Exploration for U.S. Gold.